So now we're going to sew the flap. We've attached your magnetic snap to the lining part of the flap and to the outer part of the main bag piece, which is in the previous video. Now what I'm going to do is sew the flap. So I'm putting right sides together, pattern sides together, and I'm going to sew with a centimetre seam allowance round the flap, leaving the top open. So start and reverse at the top, finish and reverse at the bottom, and then you can notch into these curves, which I'll show you in a minute, just to help your flap lie nice and flat, and so that the bulk's taken out of it and it just sits nicely. So I'll sew that now again. So I've sewn round now a centimetre seam allowance, start and reverse at the beginning, and the top there now held together. And to help make the curve sit nice and flat, I'm going to cut out these little triangles, which are called notches, around the curve. You don't really need to do that, cut any notches on straight edges, because when that turns through, it just sits nice and flat. Anyway, but taking a bit of bulk out of the seam where your curve is allows the fabric, when it's turned out the right way round, to just sit a little bit flatter, especially once you then press it. So you're just taking these notches out around the curves, and then we'll turn it out the right way and iron it. And it is up to you if you do want to then top stitch around it or just leave it pressed. So that's all my notches there, and I'll now turn it through. The top is left open, and I will iron that, and then it is up to you whether you would like to it or not. So I've turned it out, iron it nice and flat. If you want to top stitch it, you can. And what makes it a little bit easier, before we attach it to the bag, you can just stitch to close that open edge, just to hold it nice and flat before we then attach it to the bag. Once I've done that, I'll take the outer part of the main bag and onto the back of it, so not the side that has your magnetic snap. To the back of that, I'll place the main side of the flap right side down in the center, and then what I will do is stitch that down. And again, if I just do a half a centimetre to attach that, when we come to attach it to the rest of the bag and sew round, you won't see this stitching that's holding this in place. So you're just finding the center here to lay your flap on, and you're just stitching through the back part of the main bag and through the whole of the flap there. So then that will be attached. So you'll begin to see that when it then flaps over, it'll join there to where you put the other magnetic snap on. So that's the flap. Carry on. So the flap's pinned in place, and I'm just going to attach that using half a centimetre seam allowance. Attach it to the outer bag there. After in reverse. Finish in reverse to lock the stitch there, and then I can take my pins out. So that's held in place now, my flap, along the top edge of the outer bag, so that when I now flap this over, you'll see that it's going to pop her in to the front of the bag. So that's your flap. Like I said, if you want to top stitch it before you attach it, you can do. I've left that without now. So then you can just flap it back for now, and then our next stage will be to make the handles now, which we will either attach in one long piece if you're not doing the adjustable straps, or we'll attach some tab carriers, which will be in the next video.